Hi, my name's John.
And I'm Allie.
And when we finished Season 2 of Fruits Basket,
we thought it would be a fun idea to look back at Season 1
and talk about all the cool details that we may have missed from an anime only
and a manga reader's perspective.
So join us today as we talk about Season 1, Episode 10, It's Valentine's After All. Welcome back to another episode of our Fruits Basket podcast. So if you like this kind of content, you want to see more of it coming from the channel, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and why not even ringing that notification bell so you never miss another upload. Because we're going to be looking at the rest of Season 1 of Fruits Basket as a retrospective. So if you have not watched Season 2 yet, make sure to click off this video now because there will be spoilers. But with all that out of the way, where are we starting?
Well, this was a jam-packed episode, and we have a lot
That's
to
an understatement.
talk about. Yeah. So, we're not gonna hit on every single point that happened in the episode or recap the whole thing like we normally do. We're just gonna talk about the major points and the theorizing.
Though, before we actually dive in, I have to say, the jacket that Kyo was rocking throughout this entire episode was so on point that, I love it. Sorry, I had to,
The jacket? The green one?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I love it. I don't know why. I'm sorry. That was just, I needed to, get that out before we, dove in.
Are you flirting with me? Because I have two jackets that look like that.
Well, I'm not saying...
Are you making a comment?
I'm just saying I might like those jackets of yours.
Okay, I'll wear one tomorrow when I see you. Jeez, okay. Okay, but I also... I really enjoyed the humor of this episode because some of it was so on point, with Hanajima and stealing all the chocolates and Mayu saying that she was gonna dye Kyo's hair if he didn't go sit down. The humor, very chef's kiss.
Beautiful. But the actual episode starts out with Kyo. He's having a nightmare. We don't exactly know what it's about, but he's in a sour mood for the entire episode. And he doesn't even know it's Valentine's Day at first.
Yeah, he didn't even know that it was Valentine's Day, so it's not that he's upset about Kagura. It might be because of that nightmare. We don't know. It's not confirmed. But Hanajima does say that his waves aren't actually angry, so he's not mad. His waves are more innocent than usual. He seems conflicted about something, but it has nothing to do with us. And by us, Hanajima means herself, Utani, Toru, and Yuki, because they were all standing there when they had their little confrontation with Kyo. So, what do you think was upsetting him?
Okay, so I have an idea. And for my idea, we have to jump forward in the episode a little bit. Because it is kind of strange. Even his, almost peacocking with Yuki, where he, punched him and, stopped short. Even that felt, kind of off, you know? Off of what his usual Kyo self would do in that circumstance. So it's he's feeling weird. So I think it does tie directly in with that nightmare, because we'll talk about this more later, but when he's talking to Shigure, he sees a flashback, right? And I think that flashback that he sees is of, we see blood, and it looks like someone's getting gravely injured. I've theorized before that he was there at the time of Kyoko, Toru's mom's death. And so I think that his nightmare was actually him reliving or re-experiencing Kyoko's death, you know? And the reason that I think that he saw and was remembering Kyoko's death specifically is because of the hair length in it. Okay. His mom, if I recall correctly, which I might not, so that could completely discredit what I'm about to say, but doesn't his mom have longer hair?
Yeah, in the flashback that he has, I think at the end of season 1, where he's remembering his mom passing away and he's reliving when she died. Her hair is a bit longer. It's past her shoulder, and Kyoko's, when she dies, is above her shoulder.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it's Kyoko. We know Kyoko died outside because she was hit by a car, and that's outside in the middle of the city. So I think that's what the nightmare's about, and why he's just like in a daze up until he realizes that it's Valentine's Day and he has a very different thing to be upset about.
Okay. So Kyo's waves specifically are not angry, but they're also not sad. They're innocent, and he's conflicted about something. So if that's how he is feeling, if those are the emotions that he has, previously you've made theories that Kyo might have been trying to save Toru's mom, or he could have been angry and pushed her, or it could have been anything, really. So have you changed your theory on why he was present at Kyoko's death or his involvement in it? Because if he's not feeling resentful, and if he's not feeling sad, then what's going on?
I wonder if it's more of like a hollow kind of feeling, like a helplessness. Like he has his tail tucked between his legs, because in so many aspects of his life, maybe he feels so powerless, and that's just a microcosm. That incident in particular is he realizes that he should have done something, but he wasn't able to. Just like in his fate, being locked up. He should be able to do something. He's trying to do something, but it just seems like there's nothing that's working. And so maybe he almost feels like beaten down. It's not, because as the show progresses, we see more and more that he's just slowly starting to accept his fate. And I wonder if this is the first inclination of that, you know? Like, he's not sad, he's not angry, he's just kind of defeated.
Whoa.
You know?
I mean, you have the rest of his character totally on lock. I will not confirm or deny this specific theory, but I mean, you've been paying attention to our little cat boy here. I appreciate that. I love Kyo.
Kyo is, obviously he is, but he's one of the most interesting characters in this show because he's so inherently woven into low-key everyone in a way and I think that's one of this show's strengths, is that everyone's woven in together and none of it feels forced. It never feels like this is just happening because plot needs to happen. It all feels organic, and these are genuine people with genuine human emotions just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the main reason why I wanted you to watch this show, because you're a little psychology boy and you know all about people, so you can look at these characters as people, which I don't think you normally can do in pieces of media. Normally in writing, sometimes they fall heavily into tropes, and there's not a lot of, I mean, there are definitely tropes happening, but it still is way more realistic than normal.
A lot of times it's just this character fills this archetype. Whereas in Fruits Basket, they subvert expectations. They establish what each person's archetype would normally be, and then the show is building off of that and completely almost undermining those archetypes so that it's more of a human experience.
Yeah. Ooh, so good.
So good. So good.
But after that theorizing, thank you for sharing your Kyo theory.
Oh, thank you, of course.
Dang, you thought about that one. Holy crap. Came out here with punches. You did not hold back.
I came out swinging today.
Yeah, jeez. Okay, so after that little bit, we find out it's Valentine's Day. Of course, Kagura shows up and demands a double date. Because, I mean, it's Valentine's Day after all. Ooh, name drop.
Oh, oh.
And
love's in the air, and so is fear, apparently.
lots of it. Jeez.
Big mood. Big mood.
Oh my gosh. But so she demands this double date, and the boys are super against it at first. And I love the moment where Toru gets very excited, and then they give in so quickly. Because they're like, oh my gosh, Toru wants to go. She's never been on a double date before. We have to give in to her desires because she needs to have these life experiences. Yes, Toru, we will go on this double date. Like, I don't care.
She is so soft. She is so pure. We cannot disappoint the Toru.
No, never. And this is also when we are introduced to our savior, Mogura.
Oh.
Because they're going to go see Mogura.
The savior. Mm-hmm. Oh. Which, that Mogura movie, I must say, profound. I always thought of Mogura as like a Pokemon kind of deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Such Digimon vibes.
Yeah, right?
Like the first Digimon movie where the giant Digimon come into the world and start tearing up the city. Those are the vibes I got from the Mogura movie. And that is a very emotional Digimon movie.
Yeah. Mogura strikes you right in the feels. I mean, we're introduced and it's, Mogura, no! And you just feel it. Mogura is a part of your Fruits Basket experience after that moment, and he will stay with you until the end.
I'm getting a Mogura tattoo.
Please.
No, I'm not.
No.
I take it back.
Oh my gosh. People in our Discord are gonna get you at that one. We have very heavily used the Mogura emote. Please join our Discord if you would like to be friends with us. We talk about Fruits Basket. It is a very good time.
Shameless plug. Cut the thing about the tattoo.
Well, I mean, they're gonna demand it now.
Oh no. Okay. But, okay, so we learn about the Mogura stuff, and when Kagura leaves, after they establish the actual double date before they actually go see Mogura, she mentions that Haru had told her that Yuki and Kyo are starting to get along a little bit better now.
Mm-hmm. Not a good thing that you should probably be telling Kyo when he's already not having a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have this whole altercation between Shigure and Kyo where he starts digging under Kyo's skin a little bit. He starts being a little too quick with trying to change Kyo's perspective about his hatred of Yuki. He probably should have waited a little bit there. Not a good time to bring that up.
Obviously, Shigure may have jumped the gun a little bit. He admits that a little bit later. But, like, this interaction completely went over my head the first watch through. I was like, wow, why is he getting so upset about that? Like, I know Shigure's digging at him, but like what's going on here? But now with context, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's kind of how this whole episode is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hindsight is 20/20 with this one.
Yeah. Foreshadowing, the episode. It's foreshadowing after all. Like, that's the episode.
The thing that really struck me about this conversation, though, is the quote where Shigure says, "It's almost as though you feel obligated to hate him. Are you scared of what might happen if you actually got to know him?" Which, like, this is kind of what sends Kyo into this wide-eyed flashback of who I believe to be Kyoko died, right? And so I've talked about this on the podcast before. My theory is that Kyo and Kyoko almost had like this mentor-mentee kind of relationship, maybe? Because we know they had some kind of relationship, right? And so I just assume that was like that kind of mentor-mentee kind of deal. And so I wonder if he had almost this exact conversation with Kyoko just before she died or something like that. And that's what was so triggering for him, that he had to just escape immediately. Like, he had to get out of there and be alone in the woods.
Okay, so just to push your theory a little bit.
Okay.
So you think that they had a mentor-mentee relationship. How would they meet up? would he, like, show up at her house? Because then wouldn't Toru have met Kyo?
Oh, that's true.
I don't want to break your theory. Maybe it did happen. I don't know.
No. I hadn't thought that part out. Maybe he would just like show up outside and they would go on walks and just like talk about things, you know?
Okay.
And
yeah, I mean, that's a possibility.
That way, like, that could kind of I'm just grasping at straws here. that I would say that is the most likely. They would meet up every now and then. She saw a little bit of fire in him, and maybe she could help, and that helped give her a little bit of extra, like, meaning, maybe.
No, I could definitely see it, if only because Kyoko had such great relationships with troubled kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, look at Uotani and look at Hanajima, and tell me that Kyoko doesn't have a way with kids who are dealing with a lot of issues. So, no, I could totally see how you developed this theory, and that it wasn't just, like, a one-off encounter that Kyo, when he was younger, like we see in the beach arc, that he just, like, met up with Kyoko. I could see how you got to this theory. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they would hammer home that relationship, because even in a few episodes from now in season 1, when they're at the grave site, and at the end of the episode, I think he says, "I'm sorry." There's no way that they're setting this up for it to be like, okay, they met once or twice. I think that they had a genuine established relationship, and that's why all of this keeps happening, why him witnessing her death was so impactful. Because if it was just this woman he met once or twice, he knew, she was nice to him, I think it would still ride on his conscience, but I don't think it would be this profound and invasive.
Yeah. And so you think that they might have gone on walks, they had a mentor-mentee relationship, he brought up Yuki at some point, maybe before Kyoko had passed away, and they had this conversation. Okay.
Yeah. And
so
Shigure saying this brought that back up.
Okay, so after Kyo gets all upset and flashbacky and scared, he runs off and Toru runs after him, and she specifically notes that he looks scared, and she says his hatred, he's using it to protect something, himself. And I love that Toru acknowledges that it's not just anger that he's feeling. It's not that he just hates Yuki because Kyo is a mean person who hates people. It's much deeper than that. He's trying to protect something with his hatred. Do you know, like, is it he's trying to protect himself? Or do you agree with Toru, or do you disagree?
I think that, I think it's 100% to protect himself. Because if he is able to displace his hatred of himself onto someone else, namely Yuki, then that might make him hate himself and what he is in his existence maybe a little bit less, because everyone sees him as this monster. He's reminded every moment of every day when he looks at his bracelet of what his true form actually is. And so I would not be the least bit surprised if, yes, like, there's the whole aspect of he has to beat Yuki to be free. Honestly, I don't think he specifically holds that aspect of it against Yuki. I think it's a lot of displacement of his anger and his hatred of his circumstance and of potentially himself onto Yuki that makes it easier for him to just go day to day. Because there's a function for every behavior. Everything that we do serves some kind of purpose for ourselves. Like, what need is he trying to fulfill with these kinds of actions, these outbursts, these feelings? And so I think 100% displacement. And I think we can even see with his body language here, it's almost self-soothing. Not only are his actions verbally protecting him, but he's also physically protecting himself. He's literally holding himself in the fetal position in the middle of the woods, probably trying to calm down as best he can, self-soothe, and trying to regain that status quo as best he can.
Jeez. Whoa. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel bad for the boy.
Yeah, I mean, when we said that this episode was big and that we weren't going to recap everything, like, this is why. There is so much hidden behind every single movement and phrase.
Yeah, and we're at the tip of the iceberg right now, too.
Yeah, geez. Okay. So, to move along, after all of that, they're walking back up the stairs. Toru and Kyo are talking. She's starting to feel worried about the boys, especially because Kyo doesn't want to go on this double date. And while she's getting kind of like lost in her thoughts there, we get head bonk time. And I said earlier that we would mention every single time there's a head bonk. We don't necessarily have to come up with a theory for it yet. We don't have to connect all the dots yet. But this is the second head bonk that we have experienced so far. And Kyo tells her not to worry. He bonks her head. She asks why he did it. And then he tells her that he didn't do it for any specific reason. So we will keep this head bonk in mind when we have our own head bonk theory. I will remind you, I read one on Tumblr, I believe. And I'm trying to see if it is true. So far, it is true. So
head bonk counter up to 2. But after head bonk time, now we kind of get into Shigure's part of the episode, which, oh my gosh, there's so much here.
We see in the scene, Shigure, it's a flashback, he wakes up from a dream and he's crying. And there are flowers that end up blossoming later. And these flowers are definitely not cherry blossoms because they're a little too oblong. Like, cherry blossoms are a little bit flatter. They're more like circular shaped. This one's more like an oval. And it also looks more like a smaller tree, like shrubby kind of bush kind of smaller tree, and not like a taller cherry blossom tree, which leads me to believe that these are magnolias. I'm not entirely sure if I'm right because I'm not great at trees.
Okay.
But I think that they're magnolias. So, symbolism time with Allie.
Ooh.
We see these white magnolias. And white usually means something like purity, divinity, like something along those lines. And as for magnolias, those mean nobility, perseverance, dignity, and also love of nature, which that comes out of left field, but I could see that too. I could definitely see that one too. But yeah, the perseverance specifically is a very good symbolic term for this whole entire thing because he perseveres with his dream. It follows him. It sticks with him. It ends up being something twisted and weird for other people who have this dream, but for Shigure, it stays. It sticks with him. So I love the magnolias in this scene. Very good symbolism.
Which the people that the dream ends up being twisted for is Ayame and Hatori, which is who he goes to talk to, specifically Hatori, in this episode to confess that he kind of got under Kyo's skin maybe a little bit too much, and how he's actually starting to feel kind of guilty when he sees Toru and how kind of pure and innocent she is.
Yeah. Because he's out here being a lying manipulator and he feels a little bad when he looks at Toru.
This leads to the thing that we've talked, again, we've kind of talked about this before, but like the dream, okay? So I have an idea about the dream, and this, I don't even think it's really an idea because this episode hits you with a shovel with what this dream is.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in other videos, like in our season 2 recap, the whole thing, and talking about all of your theories and what will come in season 3. Yes. We talked about the dream then too, But when you actually rewatch the episode and really analyze it, you're not just doing it from memory, you get some different ideas. So
yeah.
How has your theory morphed now?
Okay. So the dream is looking all about how he had this kind of longing and this affection after the dream, right?
Okay.
It's something that he wanted, right? Learning about the flowers even strengthens my theory, because you mentioned with the flowers that one of the key symbols of the white magnolia is divinity. When he wakes up, the white magnolia blooms, just like his affection kind of blooms in this dream. And so my theory from the recap for season 3 was that I think that Shigure's got a little bit of a thing for Akito. And so seeing the white magnolia bloom, just like his affection, is like, okay, that kind of supports that idea. But then he goes on as he volunteers to give Akito her checkup, which, like, weird how they... it's kind of explicit how they describe that.
When you first watch it, you're like, oh, he's just gonna go give her a checkup, okay.
But he's like, I'm going to inspect her head to toe. It's like, oh wow, okay. That's a lot.
Don't let her catch a cold now.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, that's saucy. But, I'm sorry. But as he's walking, he's kind of thinking back to his conversation with Hatori, where Hatori says, if Kyo, Yuki, or Toru catches what you're doing, they might punch you in the face. And as he's walking towards Akito's room, Shigure is saying, they can have a few teeth, bones if they want them, that's not what I care about. And then he reaches the door, and the next thing that's said as he opens it is, Akito. Which I would imagine, especially since the next thing he says even after that is that I care about you most of all. Something tells me that the affection that he's longing for is the affection of Akito, or God, and wanting to be number one, or the most prized in God's eyes, which right now is more Yuki or Kurano's place.
Okay.
Which would also explain why he said that he's likely the most cursed of all.
Okay, questions. So...
Oh god. Oh no, I have to support it. Okay,
like,
this is where we fall.
I have just enough information to form this theory. Do not question me. This is all I have.
I laid it all out on the table for you.
Okay. So he has this dream, right? And he wakes up crying, which that's already weird enough. Like, why is he crying?
Idea. I have an idea on that, actually. Maybe I didn't lay it out all on the table. So you know how when Yuki gets close to Akito for the first time, like physically, and he involuntarily cries? I think it's like that. Like, it was almost like a god dream, I guess.
They had a god dream?
They had a god dream.
Okay, so Ayame and Hatori and Shigure had a god dream, and Shigure woke up crying, and the god dream became twisted and painful for Hatori and Ayame. Mm-hmm. Do you think the god dream would become twisted for Ayame? Because before you thought that the dream was about finding your true love, and I also don't know how that fits with Ayame, but I'm interested in your theory. How does it fit with Ayame?
I don't know if Akito did, specifically. Because... that's hard. Because my explanation... If you'd said Hatori, I would have had a rebuttal. Because of the whole Kana thing and, God stabbing his eye out and everything. But for Ayame... I don't know if I know that much about Ayame's past. Other than everything kind of regarding Yuki. I don't know that much about his relationship with... I don't know. Maybe I should know. this, but
just to like throw you a bone, I could
Yeah.
see like the bond and the curse. Those end up being kind of painful. So I could see that.
yeah.
So like maybe that's where you were going with it, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Keep thinking on your theory. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm saying that you need to think more. So
I think I'm almost there, which you don't confirm or deny, but I think I'm almost there. I just need the IMA puzzle piece.
you need some season 3.
I need some season. You know what I need is I just need more IMA in my life.
Honestly,
I love IMA.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get to our IMA episode.
There's an IMA episode? Oh, you mean in this season?
Yeah, we haven't met him yet.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you meant one in season 3. I was like, oh my god, yes. Okay. Oh my Akito, yes.
Well, thank you for working through your theory. I'm happy you've developed more. You're still thinking about it.
Oh, my brain hurts.
I know. You try so hard. I appreciate it.
There's like smoke coming out of my ears because you threw a wrench in the circuitry with the IMA thing, because I was prepared for the Hatori questioning. It's like, okay, she's gonna ask about Hatori. I'm gonna say Kana because that's his true love that he thought was his true love, but then it broke off because of God, and you know what? But okay, no.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board.
Sorry. Think about it more. Well,
Yeah.
we'll catch up. We'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing that you brought up was that Shigure is kind of manipulative and lying and using people so that he can reach this dream, which you think is Akito.
Mhm.
And he basically says that he's okay if he ends up having to hurt people, namely Yuki, Kyo, and Toru. Toru is the one that he feels most guilty about. And we know that Yuki and Kyo are ready to throw some hands over anyone who hurts Toru in any way whatsoever.
Mhm.
So, do you think that Yuki and Kyo, at some point in this entire anime,
Yes.
will end up having to go up against Shigure because of the way that Shigure is using Toru?
So, when we say go up against him, I don't think it was a throwaway line that Hatori said that someone's gonna punch you in the face. I think Shigure is gonna have the crap beaten out of him by someone. Like, genuinely, I think that's gonna pay off really well. I don't think Shigure is evil, though. I think he is a little bit self-motivated. I think that all he really cares about is reaching that end goal of him and Akito being together, whether that's cursed or uncursed. I think before I've said that he either wants to break Akito's curse as well as his own so that they can be together, or he wants to be the only one left with Akito to be cursed so that his bond with her is the strongest, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards because, you know, dogs are loyal. I do think that someone's going to beat the snot out of him.
Yeah, it is brought up a lot.
Yeah. And
Okay.
like, it's not just this episode. Like, they bring up him getting punched like a fair amount in the future, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's even brought up in the beach arc when Hatori shows up. He's like, you know, you're gonna get beaten up one of these days.
Yeah. Plot twist,
could
it's
see it.
Hatori that beats him up. That would
What
be
if
fun.
it is? Hatori's the one who always brings it up.
He's just waiting for an opportunity. He's I've been waiting my whole life for this. And so all that happens, and that leads us to the end of the episode, which
That ending.
it's a fantastic episode. I love this episode.
I love this
But-
series.
I love this series so much. But
So we are introduced to the character of Shigure's editor.
Mhm.
And I have some issues with Shigure's editor, as I imagine a lot of people do, because
Mhm.
I have had people in my DMs telling me about how uncomfortable they are with her character. And I am as well.
Mhm.
She hits on some kind of sensitive topics because of the humor that is around her harming herself and
Mhm.
threatening her life. And, you know, that's old humor. I understand that it had a purpose at one point and that people used to find it funny, but most people just find it triggering now. And I wish that they kept this out of the 2019 version of Fruits Basket. I really wish they kept it out because it is the one thing that has kept me from introducing the show to a lot of my friends. I always end up having to give them a disclaimer or warn them because I know that they could get triggered. And if these scenes triggered you, obviously we're not going to use any screenshots because no. But yeah, I'm sorry if they triggered you. They trigger a lot of people I know, and if it's upsetting for you, or if even just mentioning it now gets to you, we always have links down below when we bring up any sensitive topics where you can get help that you need, talk to people, and you get to have the attention and help that you deserve.
When it comes down to it, it's just kind of a dated and sensitive reference that while we can love the show with all of our heart, this small aspect of it, I think, is very out of touch, especially considering the subject matter, like Ali mentioned, of self-harm and the jokes about those ideations. And so, links are below. If you need help, you need someone to talk to, please know that you are not alone, and that you can use those resources in the description down below. We'll have them for multiple countries, so that you can get anything that you deserve. Is there anything else for this episode that we need to touch on?
I don't believe so.
I do not believe so either. So that'll do it for this week's episode of our Fruits Basket podcast. And these episodes actually take a fair amount of work to do. So make sure that if you are not already subscribed and you made it this far in the video, please make sure to smash that subscribe button. Make sure to like the video, and why not even ring that notification bell so you never miss another upload. And as always, we hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a fantastic rest of your week, and why not even a fantastic rest of your month. And we will see you in the next video. Later.
See ya.